Today, we have a powerful story. Lucas went through a near-death experience that changed everything in his life, and he's here to share every detail of that transformative journey. So, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any inspiring stories. Let's get started. It was a chilly evening, and I was on my way home, feeling the crisp wind against my face as I rode my motorcycle along a familiar road. I loved the sense of freedom that riding gave me, that feeling of control as the world whizzed by. But then, out of nowhere, something darted into my path. My heart leaped as I saw a stray dog, wide-eyed and terrified, frozen right in front of me. Instinctively, I veered sharply to the side, hoping to avoid it, but in that split second, everything spun out of control. I remember the sickening screech of tires, the jolt as I lost balance, and the harsh, unforgiving impact as I hit the ground. The world slowed, and I could feel every jarring sensation, each piece of gravel scraping against my skin. The pain shot through me like fire, searing and relentless. My helmet cracked, and suddenly, everything went dark. For a moment, there was nothing, just a heavy, black silence. But then, vague sounds started filtering through. Voices, the beeping of machinery, muffled shouts. My mind drifted, barely clinging to consciousness, as I lay somewhere between awareness and oblivion. I remember the faint echoes of familiar voices, my family, calling my name, panic and desperation lacing their words. I wanted to respond, to tell them I was okay, but my body refused to move, trapped in a dull, immobilizing haze. As my mind floated on the edge of consciousness, I realized with a strange, eerie clarity that something fundamental had shifted. I wasn't just hurt. I was teetering on the precipice of something much darker, much deeper. It was as if a door was cracking open, one I had never known existed, and even as fear clawed at me, I felt an odd, unexpected calm settling over me, a peace I couldn't explain. The next thing I remember was the brightness of the hospital lights piercing through the haze. My body felt numb, like it wasn't even mine anymore. Faintly, I heard the doctors' voices, urgent and clipped, discussing my injuries and preparing for surgery. I was slipping in and out of awareness, floating somewhere between the sterile, buzzing world around me and a space that felt empty and still. My mind drifted, almost detached from the pain, as though watching everything from a distance. At some point, I became aware of my heartbeat, steady, rhythmic, grounding me. But then, suddenly, it faltered. The world seemed to hold its breath as I felt my own heartbeat slow, each beat softer, fainter. My chest tightened, and there was a moment of pure panic, as if my very soul was gripping onto the edge of life, refusing to let go. I tried to scream, to move, to do anything to hold on, but my body remained heavy, unresponsive. Then, everything stopped. The heartbeat, the sounds, the lights. All of it faded into an enveloping silence. It was an eerie, all-consuming quiet that wrapped around me, muffling everything until there was only emptiness. I remember a strange sensation, a sinking, as if I were drifting out of my own skin. It was both terrifying and oddly peaceful, a profound stillness that I had never felt before. In the midst of this silence, a part of me recognized that I was slipping away, crossing some invisible line. I thought about my family, my friends, about the things I'd left unfinished. Regret and fear surged through me, but they felt distant, muted, as if already too far away to grasp. And then, just as quickly, I felt a gentle pull, a subtle nudge guiding me into what felt like a vast, endless expanse. I was aware that I was somewhere else, somewhere beyond the grasp of life as I knew it. When I opened my eyes, I found myself in a place that defied any explanation I could think of. I wasn't in a hospital room or even anywhere familiar. Instead, I stood alone in an enormous corridor stretching out endlessly in both directions. The walls were made of marble that seemed to glow softly, casting a gentle light that made everything feel strangely serene. The air was cool, filled with a stillness that felt almost sacred. I took a hesitant step, feeling the solid, cool floor beneath me, yet my body felt weightless, almost as if I was floating. Confusion gripped me. Where was I? How did I get here? A flood of questions filled my mind, but there were no answers. I looked down, half expecting to see my hospital gown or something that connected me to the life I just left. Instead, I saw myself as if whole, unharmed, even vibrant. I raised my hands, studying them, flexing my fingers, feeling that they were mine yet somehow different. Then, I sensed it, an undeniable presence, someone close by, even though no one was visible. My heart, or whatever part of me still felt like me, sped up. "Hello?" I called out, my voice echoing softly down the endless corridor. The silence stretched on, and just as I began to doubt if anyone was there, a voice, warm and steady, answered, "Lucas." It was spoken softly, but I felt it resonate within me like a calming wave. I turned, and there he was, a man, calm and serene, with an expression of kindness that felt almost familiar. "Lucas," he repeated, his gaze soft yet piercing. "My name is Julio," he continued, a gentle smile tugging at his lips. "I'm here to guide you." Something in his voice eased the tension inside me, even though I still didn't understand what was happening. I wanted to question him, to understand where I was and how I'd arrived here, but his calm demeanor reassured me that, somehow, all would be explained in time. Julio stood before me, his gaze steady and warm, as if he held answers to questions I hadn't even formed yet. I felt an instinctive trust toward him, a familiarity that seemed to calm my racing thoughts. He gestured down the corridor, inviting me to walk with him, and without hesitation, I fell into step beside him. We moved in silence for a while, my mind churning with questions. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was somewhere beyond life, a place I'd never imagined existed. After a while, Julio finally spoke, his voice calm and measured. "You've crossed over, Lucas," he said, his words laced with a kindness that softened their gravity. "This is a place of transition, a center where souls arrive to understand what lies beyond their earthly lives." His words hung in the air, and I felt a mixture of awe and disbelief. A center for souls? It sounded surreal, yet here I was, standing in this vast, otherworldly corridor, feeling more alive than I ever had. "What does that mean?" I asked, struggling to keep my voice steady. "Am I dead?" The word felt heavy, final, and saying it out loud sent a chill through me. Julio looked at me with understanding, nodding gently. "In a way, yes," he replied, choosing his words with care. "Your body lies in the hospital, suspended between life and death. But here, you are free from it, here to understand more about yourself, your soul." He paused, allowing me to absorb his words. The concept was overwhelming, yet somehow, it resonated with a deep part of me, something beyond logic or reason. "But why am I here?" I asked, the question tumbling out before I could stop it. "Why me?" Julio smiled, a serene expression that held both sympathy and wisdom. "We all have moments of awakening, Lucas. Some experience them in life, others after it. You've been given this chance, this glimpse," he said, his voice filled with a gentle encouragement. "Take it as an opportunity to learn, to understand what truly matters." His words echoed within me, stirring a sense of purpose I couldn't fully grasp yet. In that moment, surrounded by the quiet beauty of the corridor and Julio's steady presence, I felt a shift, a sense that my journey here was just beginning. As we continued down the endless corridor, I began to notice movement up ahead. Other figures moving through the vast hall, guided by serene faces much like Julio's. Each pair walked slowly, talking in hushed tones, their expressions ranging from confusion to wonder. I could feel a collective energy in the space, an atmosphere that was both reverent and transformative, as if each soul here was unraveling the mysteries of existence in real time. Julio gestured toward a nearby group, where a woman with soft, welcoming eyes was speaking to a young man who looked just as bewildered as I felt. "That's Sophia," Julio explained. "She's a guide, like me. She helps new souls understand their purpose here." I watched as Sophia spoke with a kindness that seemed to envelop the young man, her gestures gentle, her smile comforting. He nodded slowly, as if he were absorbing every word, finding solace in her guidance. Then I saw another face in the crowd, one that stopped me in my tracks. Miguel, a childhood friend I hadn't seen in years, who had passed away unexpectedly in a car accident. My heart clenched as I watched him, a mixture of disbelief and relief flooding over me. He looked peaceful, at ease in a way I hadn't seen him before. Miguel was listening intently to Sophia, nodding with an understanding that went beyond words. I felt an urge to reach out to him, to call his name, but something held me back, a sense that he was on his own path, one that I couldn't interrupt. Julio must have noticed my reaction because he placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder. "Each soul is here to face their journey, their purpose," he said softly. "You'll have the chance to reconnect with those who have touched your life, but right now, your focus is on your own understanding." His words were gentle yet firm, reminding me that this experience was deeply personal, something I needed to face on my own. Watching these interactions, I began to understand the weight of this place. It wasn't merely a passage. It was a sanctuary of reflection, a space where souls could find answers to the questions that lingered beyond life. Standing there, surrounded by those who had also crossed over, I felt my own questions bubbling to the surface, questions about purpose, connection, and the meaning of the life I'd lived. I looked at Julio, feeling a strange but undeniable peace, and knew that whatever lay ahead, I was ready to face it. Julio guided me further down the corridor until we reached a place where the air seemed to shimmer with an ethereal light. Ahead of us, immense portals opened, each one containing a swirling, cosmic expanse filled with stars, nebulae, and galaxies. I was mesmerized. Each tunnel seemed alive, radiating a quiet, powerful energy that pulled at me in a way I couldn't describe. It was as if these portals held the secrets of the universe, each one a doorway to something infinitely larger than myself. "What are these?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper, overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of what I was seeing. Julio watched me with a knowing smile, his gaze shifting to the portals with a quiet reverence. "These are the pathways through which souls journey," he explained. "Some lead back to earthly lives, while others open into realms far beyond what you can currently understand. Each soul is drawn to a path that resonates with their essence, their purpose." His words felt both cryptic and profound, leaving me with a sense that I was glimpsing something far greater than I could fully comprehend. I felt a strange pull toward one of the tunnels, its light deep and vibrant, like the heart of a galaxy. The stars within it sparkled with a warmth that seemed to speak directly to me, calling me towards something familiar yet mysterious. I wanted to step forward, to reach out and touch the swirling light, but Julio placed a gentle hand on my arm, grounding me. "Not yet," he said softly, his tone patient but firm. "Your time to choose has not come. For now, just observe, feel, and understand." I nodded, though every fiber of my being ached to know where that path would lead, what mysteries lay within its depths. I had never felt so drawn to anything in my life, and yet here, in this place beyond life, it felt as if I was beginning to understand a part of myself I had never known existed. As I stood there, watching the cosmic tunnels pulse and shift, I felt a sense of interconnectedness, a realization that every soul, every path, was woven into the same vast tapestry. The feeling was humbling, filling me with both awe and a quiet acceptance. I could sense that my journey was far from over, and that each of these portals represented choices, potential, and the boundless possibilities of existence. In that moment, I understood that life and death were merely thresholds, chapters in a story that spanned far beyond what I could see or touch. After we left the area of the cosmic tunnels, Julio led me into a vast, open field that stretched as far as the eye could see. The air here felt different, lighter, filled with the subtle scent of wildflowers and fresh grass. A soft breeze rustled through, carrying a warmth that wrapped around me like a familiar embrace. I looked around, marveling at the beauty of this place, when I noticed movement in the distance. Small figures appeared, running toward me with an unmistakable excitement, their shapes becoming clearer with each passing second. My heart raced as I realized who they were. It was Max, my childhood dog, his tail wagging furiously, eyes bright with recognition and joy. And there was Daisy, my sweet, gentle cat who had been my companion through some of the most difficult times in my life. They were both here, their forms vibrant and full of life. I dropped to my knees, unable to hold back the tears as they bounded toward me, filling me with a love so pure it felt like my heart could burst. Max jumped up, licking my face with the same boundless energy he'd had as a puppy, while Daisy rubbed against my legs, purring in that soft, comforting way I remembered. "I missed you," I whispered, my voice choked with emotion as I stroked their fur, feeling the warmth of their presence once more. It was surreal and yet deeply, undeniably real. I could feel the weight of Max's body against me, the softness of Daisy's fur under my fingers. They were here, and I was here with them. Julio watched with a gentle smile, understanding the depth of this moment without needing to say a word. "Love transcends all boundaries, Lucas," he said softly, his words barely louder than a whisper in the wind. "These souls were part of your journey, and they remain connected to you, always." I sat there for what felt like hours, lost in the joy of this unexpected reunion. I felt whole, like pieces of my heart I hadn't realized were missing had been returned to me. Max and Daisy looked at me with a knowing calm, their eyes reflecting a wisdom I hadn't noticed before. In that moment, I understood that they had been my guardians, my silent companions, sent to teach me about loyalty, love, and companionship. When it was time to move on, Max and Daisy lingered, their eyes soft but resolute, as if they knew that this was a farewell. I rose, feeling their warmth still within me, their love etched into my very soul. I gave them one last, lingering embrace, a promise that they would always be a part of me. And as I turned to follow Julio, I knew that I was carrying a piece of them with me, a reminder that love, pure, unbreakable love, endures beyond any boundary, even the ones we think death imposes. After our time in the field, Julio led me to an immense structure that looked like it had been plucked from ancient Rome, a grand hall with towering columns and ornate carvings, exuding both wisdom and power. As we walked inside, the ceilings arched high above us, and walls were lined with shelves that held countless scrolls, each one carefully stored, like precious relics of lives that had come and gone. The air was thick with the weight of purpose, a quiet hum of meaning that seemed to vibrate through every stone. Julio gestured toward the shelves, and I noticed inscriptions on some of the scrolls, names and dates written in a script that felt both ancient and familiar. "These are the life plans," Julio explained, his voice hushed in respect. "Every soul creates a path before entering the world, a purpose, challenges, and lessons to guide them through their journey." His words struck a chord deep within me, a stirring of memories that I couldn't quite grasp but somehow felt connected to. I stared at the rows upon rows of scrolls, each one representing a life, a soul's intention, a blueprint for growth and learning. Did I have one too? I asked, my voice trembling with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. Julio nodded, leading me to a section that seemed reserved for me alone. There, nestled among other scrolls, was one inscribed with my name. My hand shook as I reached for it, unrolling the parchment slowly. The words weren't written in any language I recognized, yet I understood them instinctively. Each line seemed to pulse with meaning, revealing glimpses of moments in my life, times of joy, struggles, the people I'd loved, and even the pain I'd endured. It all felt woven together, each experience layered with purpose, like threads forming a tapestry. As I read, I saw choices I'd made, paths I'd taken, and others I hadn't. I felt a sense of clarity, as though I was looking at my life through a lens that stripped away all illusions, leaving only the essence of who I was meant to be. There were moments where I had veered from my intended path, times when I had let fear or doubt cloud my choices. But here, in this hall of life's purposes, I saw that each step, right or wrong, had been part of a larger plan, guiding me toward growth, toward understanding. Julio observed me silently, allowing me the space to absorb this revelation. "Your life is a reflection of your soul's deepest intentions, Lucas," he said softly. "Each moment, each choice, has brought you closer to who you truly are." His words filled me with a profound sense of peace, a newfound understanding of the journey I had taken and the one still unfolding. As I carefully rolled up the scroll and placed it back on the shelf, I felt a powerful sense of purpose within me, a quiet resolve to live with greater awareness and intention. As I stood there, absorbing the gravity of what I had just discovered, the air around us seemed to shift. A soft, radiant light filled the hall, casting everything in a gentle, warm glow. I turned, and there, standing before me, was a figure unlike any I had seen before. His presence radiated a peace and strength that were palpable, enveloping the room in a comforting, almost sacred silence. His eyes held a depth that seemed to peer into my very soul, as if he understood every part of me, even those I struggled to understand myself. "Lucas," he said, his voice resonating with a calm power. "My name is Raphael." His presence was overwhelming, yet not intimidating. It was like standing in the presence of a gentle ocean, vast and profound. I could sense he was a being of immense wisdom, a messenger, perhaps even an angel, though words felt inadequate to describe him. "I know you have questions, fears," he continued, his voice gentle but clear. "You're searching for answers about life, death, and what lies beyond." I nodded, my heart racing as if each word was reaching a part of me I had long buried. Raphael's gaze softened, and he stepped closer, placing a hand on my shoulder. In that simple touch, I felt a flood of reassurance, as though every worry, every doubt, was dissolving into the warmth he exuded. "There is no end, Lucas," Raphael said, his words echoing like a melody in the quiet hall. "Death is but a transition, a door that opens to a continuum of existence. Your soul is eternal, boundless, and the love you have given and received is a part of that eternity." His words resonated within me, filling me with a clarity I had never felt before. It was as if he had lifted a veil, allowing me to see beyond the limits of the life I had known. I found myself overcome with emotion, a mixture of awe and relief. "But why?" I managed to ask, my voice barely a whisper. "Why do we go through so much pain, so many challenges, if this isn't the end?" Raphael smiled, a serene expression filled with understanding. "Growth, Lucas. Each experience, whether joyous or painful, is a step in the soul's evolution. Through hardship, through love, through every experience, you learn, expand, and become closer to the truth of who you are. Every life, every journey, is part of a much greater whole, a divine tapestry that we are all woven into." His words settled over me like a balm, soothing a part of me that had long been restless. I felt a deep connection, a kinship with every soul, every life that had ever existed. In that moment, I understood that we were all part of something immense and beautiful, something that transcended life and death. Raphael's presence filled me with a newfound resolve, a purpose that I couldn't quite name but felt within me, strong and undeniable. "Take this understanding with you, Lucas," Raphael said, his voice fading slightly, though his words lingered in the air. "Remember that you are never alone, that love and purpose will guide you, even in the darkest moments. With that, the light around him grew brighter, and I felt his presence slowly begin to fade. But his message remained, etched into my very being, a reminder that life, in all its complexities, was a gift, a journey meant to be cherished. As Raphael's presence faded, the hall grew quiet again, leaving me standing there, feeling more whole yet deeply changed. Julio stepped forward, watching me with a knowing smile, his eyes reflecting a quiet pride, as if he understood the shift I was experiencing. I opened my mouth to thank him, to express the gratitude swelling in my chest, but before I could speak, the scene around me began to blur. The marble hall, the cosmic tunnels, and even Julio himself all began to dissolve into a soft, white light. I felt a gentle tug, as if an invisible force was pulling me back. Then, suddenly, I gasped. My eyes fluttered open, and I was met with the harsh, sterile lighting of the hospital room. The sounds of beeping monitors and muffled voices filled my ears, bringing me back to the reality I had left behind. I could feel the weight of my body again, the dull ache in my limbs, the sensation of the crisp sheets beneath me. I was alive. Somehow, I was back. A flood of emotions washed over me. Relief, confusion, gratitude, and a lingering sadness, as if I had left behind a part of myself in that other realm. I lay there, overwhelmed, trying to process everything I had experienced, everything I had seen and felt. The messages from Julio and Raphael, the reunion with Max and Daisy, the revelations about life's purpose, all of it filled me with a profound sense of peace and wonder. My family was by my side, their faces a mix of worry and relief. Tears streamed down my mother's face as she clutched my hand, whispering words of gratitude and disbelief. I looked into her eyes, feeling a new depth of love for her, for my family, for the life I had been given a second chance to live. It was as if I were seeing them all through fresh eyes, with a clarity and appreciation that went beyond words. As the days passed, I shared bits and pieces of my experience with those close to me, though I often struggled to find the right words. How could I convey the vastness of what I had witnessed, the beauty and wisdom of the realms beyond? I found myself yearning to share Raphael's message, the profound truth of our eternal connection, with anyone who would listen. But more than words, I wanted to live it, to embody the love, purpose, and unity I had glimpsed in that other place. In the quiet moments, I would sit alone, reflecting on the journey that had brought me so close to the edge of life and back. I felt a deep, enduring peace within me, a sense that life's challenges were no longer burdens but opportunities for growth and understanding. Every breath, every heartbeat, felt like a gift, a reminder of the preciousness of this life. I had been given a second chance, a new purpose, and a message that transcended words. And though I could never fully explain the magnitude of what I had experienced, I knew that my life would never be the same. From that moment on, I carried with me the certainty that love, in all its forms, is eternal, and that even the most ordinary moments hold the power to transform, to connect, and to awaken the deepest parts of our souls. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and check out this next story. It's incredibly moving.